Willian Estevão has been compared to the likes of Lionel Messi and Neymar. At the start of his career, he broke Neymar's goal contribution record before 18 years old. But with a simple player analysis, we get to find out how good really is Willian Estevão. Willian Estevão has the right mindset to be an impactful dribbler on the biggest stages. He would pick up the ball and go again at his defender, even if he fell short on the previous attempt. This shows that he could become a high-volume dribbler, which is evident in his stats. He's two-footed and can cut in and out with such ease that it becomes difficult to contain or push him into areas he doesn't want to be in. Estevao is very creative in 1v1s, and he is getting better in tighter spaces, and he is always a step ahead with his decisions. He also has the balance and the close control with a very good timing to beat his man. One area he could do a lot much better is in his physicality, especially as he is moving to the Premier League. I've been a fan of his progress for months now, and I can say he has been developing faster than many thought he would have. So before his move to Chelsea, we can look forward to him getting better than he is now. This would be helpful because it would instill more strength in his arms as he wave off players and create distance between the ball and his markers. But Estevao is still not a Messi or a Neymar in this skill set, as those two players were a force of nature in themselves. He is not as skillful to the same level as a Neymar, but he takes similar qualities with Messi at solving problems in tight spaces efficiently. In terms of his creativity, Willian Estevão is more similar to players like Rafael Leao and Mohamed Salah. He falls more into this type of creators than the natural-born playmakers like Lionel Messi and Neymar, who he is being compared to. It's better to know what he is and what he is not. Willian Estevão is a wide playmaker. He's the type of forward to stay wide and carry the ball down into the box and whip in low-driven crosses, and that is how most of his assists have been engineered. Estevão's second most used creative tool is his in-swinging crosses from outside the box. It has been a bit productive, but it could be a lot better, and this is because these crosses keep dropping too close to the goalkeeper, and sometimes it just lacks enough pace. But I would also spare some blame to his club because his team lacks any real aerial threat in the box. His outswinging crosses need a whole lot of work, as it have not been as productive as the previous two techniques. Estevão is not the type of winger who can effortlessly slot into the number 10 role and run the game from that position from a creative perspective. He will score more goals and express himself even more in 1v1s, but there is a lot of creative skill set in demand when attempting to break down defenses from the number 10 position, and he would have to be very consistent with his vision to split defenses endlessly with through balls and chipped passes at a very high volume to be considered an elite creative 10, and we can see his numbers there are still behind. To conclude, Estevão could become an incredible creative force from the wide areas. He has the vision, and he has got a very good weight of pass in playing teammates on goal, and he is good at solving random link-up creative problems. And as we circle back to the beginning, Estevão's creativity is more similar to players like Salah and Leao. These players are so good at creating spaces with their separation movements on the ball and delivering precise, well-timed crosses to their forwards. It took them time to refine and get the perfect weight and open up more creative tools, but they would still look a bit odd from a creative standpoint if they are played in the number 10 position. So this is what differentiates his likes from the likes of Neymar and Messi, who are born creators and can unlock defense from any position they are played in, even from a very young teen age. Willian Estevão is gradually proving he can become an inevitable asset in front of goal, and we can see that in his goal-scoring numbers. He didn't fail to replicate what he did at the youth level and is even doing better now with the first team. But would he be able to do the same on the bigger stages of Europe? Let's find out. He's got great goal-scoring numbers, but time and again, stats have failed the test, and we have seen a number of young players who just can't make the cut in a cruel and intense league like the Premier League, even after having world-class seasons in other leagues. Estevao's shooting mechanics tells it all. He's a ruthless finisher that pumps out shots that look like they're coming from a striker in the Barclays era. His shots are powerful and maintain a high accuracy, which gives him better chances of beating the goalkeeper from even longer ranges. His movements in attacking sequences are equally good. He makes the right decisions with his runs and positioning, and he makes a lot of runs into dangerous areas to finish off chances. He is able to score from various positions like finishing chances from the near post, crashing the box to pick up scraps, shooting from range to break down stubborn low blocks, punishing high lines in quick transitions and counter-attacks. So he isn't limited and can find his way to the back of the net in different types of games. So, in conclusion, Estevao is a player who would be more likely to pick up a goal before an assist, and he is relentless when chasing for a goal. He tries everything he can, and when he does get his goal, he goes for another, and he is merciless from the penalty spot. Overall, he is the perfect picture of what a great goal-scoring winger would look like. Adding up physically would also be of good help, so he can muscle his way through defenders to reach chances waiting for a little tap-in. But for now, he's got smart movements, very similar to Cole Palmer, silky movements and powerful finishes. Willian Estevão in possession is very influential, and he pushes hard to link up with his teammates as much as possible from his position. He is not entirely the type of winger who drops deep in his own half, then receives the ball and progress it forward continuously, and then roams into midfield to pull the strings of possession. Estevão is more adept to receiving the ball in the flanks. Then he links up with his mates and he makes runs into these spaces to create chances or score directly. So Estevao is fine receiving the ball at his feet or making runs into spaces, and he can do a mix of both. This means he's not bothered by always trying to make an impression, and he will put the team progression ahead of anything else. And this intelligent separation movements he makes helps him get on the ball as much as possible from the flanks. Estevao has a good weight in each of his passes on both feet, and he is creative when linking up with his mates. He holds his head high up even when he is dribbling, which is rare in the normal dribbler's game, and this gives him the awareness to spot openings at the opposite side of the pitch, which he then play long into, and his numbers shows how much he is able to use this to keep the flow of play ticking smoothly. And Estevao's entire movements pictures how hungry he is for a goal, to either create one or score one himself. So he's going to make runs in the box if he has to, he will roam in the half spaces, and just when things get heated up, he's intelligent enough to fill in dangerous positions that gives me better chances of scoring or assisting. Overall, Estevao in possession isn't much different from wingers like Vini Jr., Rafael Leao and Mohamed Salah. They don't push for possession as much as wingers with midfielderish trait do, but they run the game incredibly well when it's played through them. It's quite interesting that the player who would have been the prime target of his markers for being fouled and kicked from pillar to post has learnt how to be impactful in possession and protecting himself at the same time. This is because even if Estevao has got the game-defining potential in him, he has still not yet moved into that version of himself where he would have his hands printed on every progressive action of his team, because when he does get there, he will get fouled a lot no matter how hard he tries to avoid it. And at the moment, he is smart on how he protects his body and dodge a lot of fouls with quick decisions and smart link-up play than just dribbling his way into injuries. It's quite rare to find wingers who are dubbed the player of the generation by the media to care or put in their defensive game to the limit. Willian Estevão doesn't really care if he's called the next Messi or Neymar. He works very hard off the ball and he shows unreal commitment through his work rate. Estevao is okay with tracking back to help his fullback. He presses high and we see his defensive actions is no joke. This is enough to buy the interest of top managers to keep you on the pitch, even when you are still yet to get things ticking in the opponent's box. Physically he could be better, but that doesn't stop Estevao from going into challenges and winning the ball back. And sometimes he tries to compensate the fact that he's not the strongest player physically by being unnecessarily aggressive and dirty. It's like he's sending a message out that he might look small, but he isn't small mentally, and we've seen the same traits in his former teammate Endrick. Estevao is a unique player, and you don't easily find players who can dribble, create chances, score goals, make good runs, have good separation to get on the ball, remain consistent, and also be impressive defensively at a high output, or being fast on track to being highly productive in other areas. And this is the reason Yamal is quite a fresh air in this generation, because B falls in line too. Just that Yamal is more proven and he's a creative player who can dribble and score goals, while Estevao is a goal scorer who can dribble and create chances. This is why I likened him to a Mohamed Salah and Rafael Leao and his countryman Vinicius Jr., but he's an early cracker than all these players. The person of Estevao is a lovely kid who is heavily loved and surrounded by his family. He's a devoted Christian, and he's a hard worker. He stays off media troubles, and he is not a bad boy like his idol. He knows the cheeky rules on the pitch, and I really like his gamesmanship. Willian Estevão is a talent that I can rate with a high potential of 94 at his peak if everything goes smoothly, but I don't see that as of now when he's being lined up to be thrown into the Wolves' den without a slow and steady introduction into the Premier League. And his physical development would be so important as it would directly impact his goal scoring and dribbling game on heated stages. But at the same time, looking at how upscaled his game is, I don't see him falling beyond being a mere Champions League regular if a lot of things work against him. And lastly, maybe I could be proven wrong, but I don't see Brazil getting their next Neymar in Willian Estevão. Instead, I see Brazil getting a winger in line with Vinicius Jr. with a potential as high as his, maybe higher due to him having more skill set, but he has to go through the process. Vinicius Jr., Willian Estevão, and Rafael Leao. This is where you find Estevao, but he's got greater goal threat than Rafael Leao, just as Vinicius do. So let's say Chelsea is getting their compensation for missing out on Leao. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.